Welcome to today's daily walk in wisdom, where we're looking at Job and all of the things that we need to know about how to handle life, the world in which we live, which is in very many ways a place of great suffering. Truly, the one condition that everybody experiences at some moment in life is pain and suffering. And so we need to know how to be able to handle ourselves. And God has not left us without much wisdom on the matter, devoted a whole book to letting us know how we can find Him in and through it all. It says in Job 28, verses 12 through to 28, where shall a wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man does not comprehend its worth, neither is it found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not in me," and the sea says, "It is not in me." It cannot be bought with the finest gold, nor can its price be weighed in silver. Neither gold nor crystal can compare with it. Where then does wisdom come from? Where does understanding dwell? It is hidden from the eyes of every living thing. God alone understands the way to it, and He alone knows where it dwells, for He views the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. And when He established the force of the wind and measured out the waters, and when He made a decree for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm, and then He looked at wisdom and appraised it, and He confirmed it and tested it, and He said to man, "The fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding." So now you can see why we're saying that Job is one of the books of wisdom, because it is in fact a search for wisdom, the search of a man who is going through the greatest trial imaginable, and what he realizes that he needs is wisdom. Eliphaz and Bildad and Zophar and Job were speechless for 7 days at the beginning of this story, before Job broke the silence in an emotional, pain-filled, gut-wrenching outburst, and understandably so. But by the time we get to Job's last speech, here in chapter 28, he's no longer arguing and protesting, no longer protesting his innocence. He has not lost any intensity, but suffering has helped refine Job and helped him to find focus and direction. And he's searched everywhere for an answer to what he's been going through. And first he looked to the deep, to the universe, like so many people are looking to the universe today for the answers for humanity, as if we'll be able to make something more of life on Earth by seeing what is done on some random planet on the edge of our solar system. And next he considers the material world. It's amazing how materialistic people can be, as if gold and silver and wealth is the answer. Just look at how people are willingly listening to everything, all of the inane and insane things that celebrities and the rich and famous sprout, as if being popular, as if having a whole lot of stuff gives you the answers to life. Job tells us that none of those things possess the wisdom that he's looking for. I'm telling you, you go through strife and struggle and suffering and tragedy, and you'll soon realize that those things fall upon the wealthy just as much as the poor. And Job says that God alone has what he needs. Soon, Job will have an encounter with God that will turn his whole life around. And through all of Job's struggles, he's moving towards this encounter. We know that because we've read the end of the book, just like we know what's going to be happening to the whole universe because we've read the end of the Bible. We've seen that everything is going to be turning out just so. So through all Job's encounters, he's moving in this direction. Suffering generally only makes sense when we arrive at the end. And through suffering, he's undertaking the necessary preparation so that he can have that encounter with God. His internal universe is being expanded. Ask yourself, why do we have a universe at all? And why is the universe the way it is rather than some other form? These questions can't be answered by science, for science gains its knowledge by studying the universe that already exists. In the single opening of Genesis, we discover that an intelligent cause presided at the birth of the universe, rather than, as the Greek philosophers taught, that it was by randomness and chance. And because of this revelation, St. Basil taught that we're no longer doomed to study nature without ever finding its source, that all of creation is the school where reasonable souls exercise themselves, the training ground where we learn to know God, since by the sight of visible things the mind is led as though by the hand to contemplate invisible things. And the trouble with the scientist is that they try to study the world in isolation without any connection between life and God. And so it's no wonder that our universities are big on information, but small on wisdom. Without a connection to God, information leads only to either distraction or destruction. In fact, if there is no connection in your mind between the visible and the invisible, then you understand nothing as you ought. So it's in connecting the inward universe with the outward that we arrive at true wisdom. That's what Job is telling us in this passage. The universe consists of several levels, beginning with mere space, or the deep, Job calls it. So there's the deep, or outer space. And then on the next level there is matter. Now matter is small in comparison with space, yet it's something, whereas space is like nothing. And so it's therefore, matter is therefore of a higher order than space. And the next level is living matter, which is a small fraction of all matter, but it sits on a higher level. Life is only found on the surface of our planet and in the ocean. The majority of our planet is lifeless. The highest form of life on our planet is undoubtedly human beings. So again, the highest level of life is small in comparison, a small fraction in comparison to all living things. But we must go further. For within man, there is a capacity to become very large. So we've gone to the smallest. By coming to the highest, we've gone to the smallest, or by going to the smallest, we've come to the highest, and yet suddenly we find that within man there is something very large. Within man's intellect there is a capacity to relate to all materiality. Further within us is the ability to contemplate and explore the deep. And excluding the cow that jumped over the moon, no animal desires to explore the Milky Way. And deeper yet, at the core of our being, there is an inner universe that is infinite. However much we may learn from physics and chemistry and biology and sociology and psychology, it is at the core of our being that we find the meaning and significance of everything else. And without that, no other studies can yield meaning and significance. And this is what Job is discovering. To man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And this phrase can also be found in the Proverbs and in Psalms, and so it's something that God is intent on us knowing. The fear of the Lord is the Old Testament's way of saying, have faith in God. Now, present-day worshippers of Gaia will never be able to penetrate the wisdom necessary to find appropriate answers to the suffering that is in the world, because they're limited to the material, when in fact we need to access the fear of the Lord. And so we need to take that internal factor that is in touch with an eternal God for us to be able to understand what is going on when we're struggling through suffering. Suffering demands that we leap from the tangible to the intangible, from matter to God, from what's the matter to God. It demands a metaphysical encounter where we enter the mystery and discover the answers to everything that we're going through. So dig deep, dig deeper than the deep, dig deeper than the surface of things, and realize that in your heart you can make contact with God. And understand while you're struggling and while you're suffering that God is actually preparing a place within you that can have a true encounter with him, a genuine encounter where you meet with him face to face. That's a wonderful thing. Let me pray for you. God, I just pray for anybody out here who is going through suffering and trial and struggle and is wondering about the purpose of it all, and won't somebody give me an answer? And I just pray that you will open up their hearts so that they might be able to apprehend the wisdom of God for them at this particular time in their lives. I know it's a time of trouble and a time of struggle and a time of suffering and a time of loneliness. I know that it's hard. And yet, God, if we can connect with you during our hardest of times, then we will have found a rich source of healing for our souls indeed. And that is what I pray will come to you now in the name of Jesus. And we'll see you again tomorrow for some more wisdom from Job.